Okay, cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Nikisha James Prentice, and I would be the speaker for this debate, Leaders Are Born Not Made. With me, I have Tiffany Brown, who would be the timekeeper, Leanne, who would be the deputy speaker, Ariana, who would be the note taker, Anastasia, who would be the clerk of the house, So, everyone ready to begin?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so coming up first for the main speech, we have for the affirmative, Alyssa Sipasad, well, Prime Minister Alyssa Sipasad. She would be speaking for 5 minutes on the topic, Leaders Are Born Not Made, affirmative. We can, Tiffany, you ready with the time?
I am.
Okay, so when the Prime Minister is ready, we would start the clock. So, Madam Prime Minister, you can begin.
Honorable adjudicators, members of the House, and my worthy opponents, good day. Today we stand firmly in support of the motion. This House believes that leaders are born, not made. Leadership is not just a set of learned skills, it is an inborn capacity rooted in who we are. While leadership can be developed, it cannot be manufactured. History shows that great leaders rise because of natural traits they possess long before any training begins. Let me define the key terms of this debate. A leader is someone who can influence, guide, and motivate others towards a shared goal. By born, we mean innate qualities, traits present from birth. By not made, we are not denying development. We argue that leadership begins with natural foundations that cannot be created from nothing. Our framework is clear. Leadership is primarily driven by innate traits, charisma, emotional intelligence, intuition, and calmness under pressure. Training can refine a leader, but it cannot create one. As first proposition speaker, I will present three arguments. Number one, genetic and personality traits. From a young age, natural leaders stand out. They show confidence, they show decisiveness, and an unusual ability to influence others. These qualities do not appear through training, they stem from genetic temperament and personality passed from generation to generation. True leaders possess natural charisma and emotional intelligence. They connect with people effortlessly, they inspire trust and command respect without being taught how. These complex traits come from disposition, not instruction. Yes, leadership can be nurtured, but like any structure, it needs a foundation. Without those inborn qualities, no amount of training can turn someone into a truly influential leader. Number two, vision and intuition. Born leaders also possess a natural sense of vision. They see possibilities others overlook. They make bold decisions with clarity and instinctively guide people toward long term goals. You can teach strategies, but you cannot teach instinct. Someone can learn frameworks, but they cannot be trained to sense opportunities, anticipate danger, or persuade others to believe in a dream that does not yet exist. Visionary leadership comes from intuition, creativity, and foresight. You can teach analysis, but you cannot teach someone to see. And this insight is what separates born leaders from trained managers. Number three, leadership under pressure. Finally, true leadership reveals itself under pressure. In crisis, when situations are chaotic and stakes are high, born leaders rise. They stay calm, they think clearly, and act decisively while others panic. This instinctive composure cannot be learned from a seminar. It is natural temperament that shapes automatic responses. Their calmness inspires confidence, their stability grounds others. Management can be taught, but natural poise under pressure cannot. When everything collapses, it is the born leaders who stand firm. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, leadership is not a product of instruction, it is a product of nature. Leaders are born with traits that training may sharpen but never create. We have shown that leadership begins with innate personality traits, it is strengthened by natural vision and intuition, and it is proven through instinctive calm under pressure. For these reasons, we proudly affirm that leaders are born, not made. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Prime Minister. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining. Would you like to add anything to your speech, to your opening speech?
No.
Thank you. We'll now have a 1 minute intermission before we hear the opposition leader. Thank you. We now have the leader of the opposition with his first speech.
Good evening, Madam Speaker and honorable members of House. I rise today on behalf of the opposition to firmly and confidently reject the bill before this honorable House, which has claimed that leaders are born, not made. Our standpoint is that leadership is neither inherited nor is it a fixed quality embedded in a person's DNA or a trait passed through bloodlines. Leadership is a skill that is refined through experience, education, and self-development, and the environment that shapes the individual through their lifetime. Madam Speaker, the proposition's position suggests that leadership is a natural gift available only to chosen individuals or predetermined by birth. But if that were true, society would not invest billions of dollars in leadership training, mentorship programs, business developmental schools, and professional coaching. Why would these institutes exist? Because the world recognizes a simple truth: leaders are developed, not delivered. Honorable members, the greatest leaders we admire throughout our history did not emerge from the womb with perfected leadership qualities. They were modeled by trials they endured, decisions they made, and challenges they faced. In the presence of real struggles, leadership can grow not by biological luck. It grows when individuals learn resilience, practice empathy, and develop confidence. Polished communication skills through repeated experience and not through genetics. Now consider, Madam Speaker, the leaders who confront a crisis for the first time. They are not born knowing how to take charge of a team under pressure. They learn by stepping up, making mistakes, taking responsibilities, and growing from them. The process of adapting, learning, and improving is what builds a leader. If leadership is inherited, no one would need guidance, reflection, or mentorship. And yet every leader in history speaks on overcoming challenges, lessons learned, and wisdom gained over time. The opposition rejects the proposition that the outdated belief that a person's future is predetermined by traits they are born with. There are far too many complexities in leadership to be reduced to genetics. True leadership requires empathy, communication, and emotional intelligence, and the ability to inspire others, none of which are presented at birth. A newborn or even a young child, they will not possess confidence, influence, foresight, or moral judgment. These things have developed through growth and experience. In modern leadership theories, such as situational and transformational leadership, provided further notion that leadership is learned and adaptable behavior. A situational leader learns to change their style depending on the needs of the followers, Transformational leaders learn to inspire others through communication, vision, and emotional intelligence. This leadership style is not a natural born gift, but a developed ability. If leadership was truly inborn, then a child raised in the same household would have equal leadership prowess. And yet we know this is untrue. If two siblings can be exposed to the same environment, but the sibling who actively develops skills, seeks mentorship, engages in opportunities, and becomes stronger leader, this shows effort and experience, not birth making a difference. Let us consider equality and fairness. The proposition in, insinuates a select few can become leaders. This is a completely inaccurate and also dangerous notion. It discourages growth, undermines human potential, and denies millions of people of the opportunity to rise and lead. As the opposition, we will stand firmly for a world where leadership is accessible to all who are willing to work for it. Leadership is not genetic assignment, it is a journey. It rises from professional development, personal growth, and learning from failure and gaining wisdom from real life situations. Leadership journey is available to everyone, regardless of circumstances or a person's birth. For these reasons, Madam Speaker, we reject the claim that leaders are born, not made. We, the opposition, stand today to affirm that leadership is shaped, learned and engaged and cultivated. Now, thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, opposition leader. We now have a 2 minutes intermission, sorry. And then we'll move on with the Deputy Prime Minister. Thank you very much, timekeeper. We now move forward to the first rebuttal from the Deputy Prime Minister. You may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker, judges, and members of the House. My name is Judah Salman, and I am the Deputy Prime Minister of the Opposition for the Pro position. Madam Speaker, the opposition claims that leadership can be fully cultivated through training and experience. However, while skills can certainly be developed, they overlook a crucial truth. Individuals with natural traits such as innate confidence, charisma, and emotional intelligence enter leadership roles with a distinct advantage. These inborn qualities form the foundation of true leadership long before any formal training begins. In this debate, the position we put forward is that leadership ability is not solely the product of training or environment, but is significantly shaped by inherent genetic predispositions. This perspective argues that while anyone can improve their skills, the foundation for exceptional leadership is something many individuals are simply born with. To be clear, this is not to suggest that there is a single leadership gene. Rather, it argues that multiple inherited traits interact to create a natural starting point that makes leadership more likely to emerge. According to Halechek 2016, the great man theory of leadership gained popularity during the 19th century. The methodology surrounding some of the world's most influential leaders, such as Abraham Lincoln, Julius Caesar, Mahatma Gandhi, and Martin Luther King Jr., strengthened the belief that great leaders are born and not made. For example, consider natural charisma. Although charisma can be refined, some individuals seem to possess a magnetic presence from a young age. This may stem from inherited communication patterns, physical expressiveness, or subtle social cues that naturally draw people in. In leadership contexts, that innate charm makes others more willing to listen, follow, and trust. We also see this innate confidence, which can be influenced by genetic factors affecting neurochemistry. This baseline self-assurance enables individuals to step forward, take initiative, and manage risk qualities that are essential for leaders facing uncertainty or pressure. Intellectual capability also plays a significant role. General cognitive ability, or the G factor, has a hereditary component and contributes to quick information processing, strategic thinking, and effective problem solving. These cognitive advantages give certain individuals a natural head start in complex situations where strong leadership is required. Finally, theories on decision-making tendencies suggest that risk tolerance, intuitive judgment, and the ability to make fast, high-stake decisions may also be influenced by genetic factors. If someone is naturally wired to remain calm under pressure or make accurate intuitive choices, they are more likely to excel in leadership roles where these traits are indispensable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister. We now have a 2-minute intermission before we resume. Thank you, Madam Timekeeper. We now move forward with the first rebuttal against by the Deputy Opposition Leader. You may begin.
Greetings, Madam Speaker and the honorable members of this House. I am Deputy Prime Minister Ramona Gulab Singh Dick. And in response to my dear friend's stance, yes, natural confidence or charisma can help, but having raw potential does not make someone a leader, any more than being tall makes someone a professional basketball player. Potential must be developed through education, training, and environment, which are the top influences that can mold an effective leader. Education empowers individuals with the necessary and pertinent analytical skills and knowledge of leadership. Day 2000 reveals that competencies such as communication, conflict resolution, and decision-making skills are acquired through education rather than inherited at birth. For instance, you can't be born and already understand how to manage an organization or team. Rather, this is a capability that can be developed over time via academic and social learning processes. After all, in the case of leadership, it is about understanding people, systems, and strategies, none of which any human being is genetically pre-installed with. Indeed, leadership training has also been proven to make a significant enhancement in leadership effectiveness. La Saranza et al. 2017, in a meta-analysis of 335 studies, found that leadership training significantly enhances leadership behavior, team performance, and organizational outcomes. Evidence such as this directly contradicts the idea that leadership is purely inborn. If leadership were truly something people are either born with or without, then formal leadership training would have little to no measurable effect. Instead, research consistently shows the opposition. People can learn to lead, improve with practice, and outperform their earlier selves. For example, the U.S. Army's leadership training model, one of the most studied in the world, has shown measurable improvements in leadership performance after structured training programs. Hannah and Avlua, 2010. This further illustrates that leadership competence grows through instruction and practice. The environment shapes leadership development through exposure, opportunity, and social learning. Social learning theory, a psychological theory advanced by Albert Bandura, states that one learns new behaviors, attitudes, and emotional responses by observing, imitating, and modeling others. Individuals, therefore, develop leadership behaviors through watching their role models, feedback, and real contexts, growing via interaction, expectations, and experience, not genetics. Bandura, 1997. Even naturally confident individuals cannot automatically lead. They must still learn appropriate behavior through observation and practices. History is full of natural examples that show leaders are made, not born. Many respected leaders such as Nelson Mandela, Malala Yousafzai, and business figures like Howard Schultz did not emerge at birth as fully formed leaders.
Thank you very much, Deputy Opposition Leader, for your contribution.
Thank you.
We'll now have a 2 minute intermission before we conclude the debate.
Time is up.
Thank you very much, Madam Timekeeper. We now move on to the government whip, who would be concluding the affirmative part of the debate. You may begin.
As the second rebuttal speaker for the proposition, my task today is clear: to respond to the opposition's claims and to show that even within their own arguments, the foundation of leadership remains rooted in inborn traits. Hi everyone, I am Nuria Khan, and with that said, allow me to move directly into my rebuttal. The opposition claims that leadership is fully created by training, experience, and environment. But even in their own reasoning, one theme keeps appearing: development only works when a person already possesses the innate aptitude to lead. First, let us examine their central claim. Leadership is a learned skill, the opposition contends. But having the innate ability to lead is not the same as mastering a skill. Someone can learn strategies for communication or conflict management, but you cannot teach charisma, innate confidence, or emotional calm under pressure. To put it another way, while training can enhance an individual's ability, it cannot provide them with the innate motivation that inspires others to follow. Next, they argue that leaders are formed via experience. However, we know that this never occurs. If experience alone made leaders, then all participants in leadership programs would become equally capable leaders. Even if two individuals have the same training, mentorship, and obstacles to overcome, only one of them will naturally become a leader. Why does this occur? Well, inborn temperament, characteristics like emotional intelligence, decisiveness, risk tolerance, and tranquility impacts how someone responds to experience. Therefore, experience builds leaders only when the natural building elements are already there. Next, the opposition then contends that traits like emotional intelligence and empathy can be cultivated. But psychological research regularly reveals that key traits, sociability, emotional stability, and empathy have hereditary components. People can acquire behaviors that simulate empathy, but true emotional connection, the type that inspires trust and loyalty, cannot be produced. If training alone develops EQ, then every manager would immediately become a great leader, and we know that is not true. Once more, development is beneficial, but only in cases where an individual has innate emotional fortitude. Finally, they suggest that leadership does not follow hereditary family lines, but this actually supports our point. We stated that natural qualities which may be found in everyone regardless of background are the source of leaders, not that they had to come from leadership families, but leaders such as Mandela, Gandhi, and Lincoln were not trained to be brave or visionary. These attributes surfaced early in life and impacted who they became long before any official schooling. So ultimately, the opposition's claims do not illustrate that leaders are produced. They just indicate that training can polish someone who is already naturally oriented to lead. In conclusion, the essential subject of this discussion is whether leadership is natural or can be developed through training. Our side has demonstrated that the traits of a great leader, such as charisma, self-assurance, emotional intelligence, vision, and instinct under pressure, all have solid natural fundamentals. Although they can enhance a person, training and experience cannot take the place of a person's natural temperament. Someone can learn to handle duties, but the ability to influence and inspire people starts with who they are, not what they are taught. For these reasons, the proposition maintains its position. Leaders are born, not made. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Government Whip. We'll now have a 2-minute intermission before we begin. Thank you very much, Madam Timekeeper. We now resume with the opposition whip. You may begin.
Madam Speaker, the government has attempted to push the argument that leadership is an innate quality, yet we, the opposition, have showed the House that every point they've raised are qualities that can be developed and not delivered at birth. We have shown that if leaders truly were born, there would be no need for leadership training, mentoring, coaching, or academic programs. But why do you think these institutions exist? Because society recognizes these institutions as effective places where leadership skills can be developed. A person doesn't just hit the genetic lottery to be born a superb leader. Instead, individuals can grow into leaders through education, training, and experience. The government has attempted to claim that natural traits are enough for someone to be a leader. However, the opposition has laid forth reminders to the House that no one emerges into this world possessing qualities such as resilience, empathy, emotional intelligence, decision-making skills, or the ability to manage others. These are all traits that are cultivated through personal experiences, reflection, and development. Leadership requires far more than just personality. It requires skills that must be learned, practiced, and refined over time. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, as stated in our main speech, we have demonstrated that real leaders are shaped through the challenges they face. Some of the greatest leaders in history rise through trial, responsibility, and gain wisdom over time. This is in direct contrast to the government's claims that leadership is predetermined at birth. If this were the case, first-time leaders would not need guidance or mentorship as we have emphasized. However, when many of these leaders give speeches, we see that they usually describe the lessons they learned, not the traits they inherited. Additionally, through established research and examples, we have shown that education improves communication, conflict resolution, and decision making, and that leadership training measurably strengthens leader behavior and team performance. These facts presented by us directly contradict any arguments that the ability to lead is inborn. Finally, Madam Speaker, we have emphasized that the government's stance is not only outdated, but limiting. While their views imply that leadership is reserved for a biologically gifted minority, our arguments suggest that leadership is a journey available to anyone willing to learn and grow. Honorable members, based on evidence and examples presented by the opposition, it is clear that leadership is shaped, not inherited. For all these arguments established, we confidently reject the bill that leaders are born, not made. Thank you, Madam Speaker, honorable members of the government and the House.
Thank you very much, Opposition Whip. And this concludes our debate. Leaders are born, not made. We'll have an 8-minute intermission for assessments, and we will resume thereafter.